Well, good morning, everyone, and especially my friend Jeffery Combs. Thanks for coming on. A little bit about Jeffery. It was, I believe, 20 years ago, I came across the psychology of asking, and I was listening to that, and I just got so excited listening to that. I was driving along, and I stopped the car, looked on the back, and I saw your phone number, and I called you up, and we had a nice phone conversation, and pretty soon you were coming up to the Spokane Valley doing some training for us. And oh my goodness, this is just really good stuff. And looking at your shirt, Mastermind, I love that. Golden Mastermind. So much of success is hanging around the right kind of people. You can change everything in your life by changing what you think about and who you're hanging around with and having a mastermind. And what could be better than that? Having a golden mastermind. But also just kind of getting ready for this, I got into my phone and had the joy of listening to you with Mark Victor Hansen. You've been associating with a lot of really great people for a long time. And the thing that really blows my mind, though, is this number 18,000. That's a whole lot of people. I think in my mind, how many people I've called over the years, quite a few, but you've actually had one-on-one coaching with 18,000 people. And I imagine you've made a big difference out there. And that's probably one of the most thrilling things. But one of the big things I think that's really good with Jeffery is he's been down there before. He talks about himself as a let go expert. And when I hear that, I think of the terms of baggage, and whether that's you came from kind of a goofed up family, or I got involved with addiction, or just all these different things. Jeffery is really good at just relationships and getting your head right. And that certainly includes building a business, because everything about business is people. And I've just heard this statement, and I love it. If you don't understand business, if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. So this is a big deal. We're going to understand people, and that would begin with understanding yourself. But Jeffery, really, I appreciate you coming on. This best shortcut to learning golden nuggets is get it from someone else's experience. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about what's going on and a little bit about your background. I've been real superficial, but tell us how you got into where you are today and how you found those 18,000 people.
Thank you, Dave. I would be honored. It is an absolute privilege to be here with you. You're right. It was around 20 years ago that you and I met, and I did come up to the Spokane Valley, and I believe I did 3 events with you in that time frame. That was relatively early in my career. I started my coaching business in September of 1998, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, and the term Golden Mastermind is in homage to the great Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill had a company called Golden Rule Industries of America. Golden Rule, here it is, the Golden Rule Industries of America. And then Mastermind is in homage to Mastermind Alliance, one or more like minds coming together for common causes. And so I'd started my network marketing business in 1989. You remember those days, Dave. You and I were talking about, I looked at Nikin in 1989. I started in Amway and didn't do anything. I was reading Burke Hedges' book, Who Stole the American Dream. I was listening to little cassettes that Amway would put out. I was drinking the juice back then. And I never really didn't do anything with that business. But in 1991, I became very serious about free enterprise. And I did not want to have a job. I was a commissioned sales professional, but did not want to work for anyone else on straight commission. I wanted to own my own business. I was 4 years clean and sober at the time. I'm a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, pathological liar, serial cheater, and drug dealer. That's what was my 80s. As a teenager, I was a top tier high school athlete. I was a relatively good student, and I came from a lot of trauma, drama, and chaos, and spent my entire 18 to 30s as an addict. I got clean and sober at 31 and devoted myself to being a millionaire. I didn't know how, but I had the why. I had the why, but I didn't have the how yet. And I did not have a vehicle. Network marketing is something I dabbled with for 2 years. And then I started to understand the power of leverage. I started with Herbalife back in the day when Jim Rohn was their inspirational speaker. And once I heard Jim Rohn, I knew, I didn't know if that was going to be the vehicle, but I knew that Jim Rohn was going to be, he was going to assist me with my why. And I started to listen to The Art of Dynamic Living. I bought his books back then. I bought his VHSs. And I started to become a student of Napoleon Hill, But also at the same time was starting to understand quantum healing and quantum physics, mind body connections, because I was reading John Bradshaw, but I was studying Louise Hay. I started to understand muscle testing, and I moved completely into homeopathic and natural remedies. I've moved away from big pharma, medicine, and that situation. And network marketing was absolutely the vehicle that took me there. I spent 10 years as a full-time network marketer. I had very little to no success for 8 years. 8 years, Dave, you'll understand this, a total of $200,000. Now, I was disciplined. You remember what network marketing was like back then. It was warm market, no social media, and we would advertise in newspapers. I used to advertise in the USA Today, but it took me a 10-year process to really break through that industry. And in my 8th year, I had my first six-figure year, and it was a quantum leap. I went from 100,000 in credit card debt to 460,000 in a calendar year. But that was not an overnight success. People said, "Oh, you had this big year," but it was 8 of nothing before the 9th year. That's when I had a quantum leap. And I was in one of those companies that I just felt the owners were going sideways. I was going up and they were going this way. And so I left that company and started my own seminar company, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, in September of 1998, which is a California corporation. And I ran that business like a business. I've owned that business for now 25 years. I've coached 18,000 clients, 180,000 hours one-on-one, 180,000 hours one-on-one. So the 10,000 hour habit, will you quantify that? So 180,000 hours. I've spoken 4 continents, 47 states. I've done 1,042 keynotes. When you see me speak, that'll be my 1,043rd. So I'm really looking forward to reconnecting our connection. And I also want to let you know how honored I am just to be a part of your new journey. I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for you. I know the type of results you have created. You are a legend in the network marketing, direct sales industry, and a pioneer because you stayed with the company for multiple years. You rode it to the finish line. And now I am proud to say I am one of your product users. So as you see there, it's almost all gone. I've already reordered. So I'm honored to be anything that you're a part of. I want to be at least a product consumer of that. So what I do, Dave, what I assist people to understand is that I'm a let go expert. That's not what I started out as. I started out prospecting, lead generation, building a culture, building a team. And I built my first few years of my business around that. And then I wrote this book in 2002, More Heart Than Talent. And that's a brand I built for 15 years. I know that's not my brand anymore, but that was a brand that I built in the network marketing industry. So I built my foundation of my coaching business around network marketers. But over time, network marketing isn't my total focus. My focus became addictions, recovery, sobriety, and higher consciousness because they all go together. Most of the world is addicted to a set of emotions. So that gave me everyone in the world that I could assist to let go. Then I started to understand that letting go is a skill. In the 12-step programs, we say let go and let God. We talk about surrendering, which the 12-step programs are amazing. However, there's a missing link in consciousness for many people. They don't really understand the content of letting go and the context. And so many people get lost in the let go process, and they don't really understand that neurons that wire together fire together, and that most of the world lives in brain fog. And so they live in this brain fog that is residual from trauma that's left over, and most people live in repressed feelings. This is why you and I mentor people in teams, and we see these quality people, and that they live in they should break through. They have potential, but they don't really know. It's more than how do I, it's why do you? And so what most people do is they participate in their overwhelmed feelings. They don't know how to observe them. You have to be the observer, not the participant, because as long as you're participating in your emotional anxieties, you can't separate them. And this is why so many people avoid prospecting. They have stories in their head about, oh, what would I do if I was successful? I'm not sure if I can handle that. They get overwhelmed about the future that hasn't happened, and then they shut down. But they go to the seminars, the rallies, the conventions, and they buy the brand, they buy the product, but they don't ever really break through that next trauma bond where they could move into 5 figures a month, multiple 5 figures a month. That's where so many people get hung up. And that's what I assist people understand, that letting go is a skill. It's a separation between the feelings and the events that shape them. And I teach people that mechanism of letting go over my coaching, along with many other skills that I teach them.
Oh, that's a lot. I'm loving listening to this, and I'm just kind of thinking of my point where I am. It's different than I imagined. I thought that one company, that was going to be my life. That was going to be my culmination. And here I am. I tell people that I turned 73 and I'm having a midlife crisis, and I'm starting all over again with my encore career. But I couldn't be more excited. I've had just a life-changing experience with the product, the people, the culture we're building. It's just the best ever. And then I'm thinking, wow, okay, I want to raise my game. I want to get even better. And so that's why I'm back here with you. And so much of your stuff, what you're talking about is psychology. How I first met you was the psychology of asking. And one of the most wonderful things is we all have a mindset. That's how we view everything. One of the most wonderful things about mindsets is it really guides us where we're going in our life, but also how quickly it can change just in a moment. Listening to you here, this could be a moment where everything will change. And as Jim Rohn talks about, when you change, everything will change for you. And I'm ready for some quantum changes. And so what about here and now? A lot of things is scary. Listening to you and Mark Victor Hansen last night, interview so long ago, and we're talking about all the challenges of that day. Well, we got challenges today too. Wow, fascinating. So what
most
about
challenging time in world history, Dave, right now? I mean, it's the interest rates are 8 and 9%. I mean, Americans can't really go out and buy a house. You really can't sell your house right now. So if you sell your house for profit, it's not really, you really can't go out and buy a new house unless you have cash. I mean, we're in a really interesting time in America. Americans require to, especially patriotic Americans or Americans, Christian Americans, or whoever you are, it's important that you understand what the market is. I mean, Americans require a business more than ever before because it's important that you become self-sufficient. You can't depend on corporate America, big pharma. You can't, I mean, you just can't. You have to depend on yourself and build your own cultures, build your own structure, build your own ecosystem. It's never been more prevalent than today. Now, you don't want to get into this. It's scary. You want to be able to say, you want to be able to observe the situation for what it is and then not participate in that, but participate in building your own culture. And that's what you're not really at a start over. You're a restart because just like you said, you didn't do any, you built the legacy of a company. They collapsed the company and you were left in that situation. So you're at a place you're restarting, not starting over. That's where a lot of people are today. And you don't want to get into this difficult. It's hard because it's new for wherever you are. But here's some key components of what's required. So people ask me all the time, how do I grow a business? Well, I mean, obviously you grow yourself, but that's so academic. There's so much more to that. What is important is that you learn to scale consciousness. Consciousness is a term that means I understand, I'm aware, I believe, I'm in truth, I'm in trust. Because anything below that is anxiety. So the gateway to consciousness is courage. So courage is a scalable energy that once you access courage, you're above anxiety, fear, and doubt. Now, where most people live is they live in the doubt zone. Doubt is a safe place for people to be. Doubt is safe and doubt's a payoff. Doubt keeps you doing the same thing over and over, recreating the same result, disappointment. To be able to let go of disappointment is to be able to have inspiration. So with a new company, there's the possibility, there's the hope. I mean, it's the newness, it's the dream. I mean, you're right there at the right place at the right time. You've heard this timing. I mean, people say, I got in early. Well, getting in early doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but it can give you positioning. But positioning can give you power, but power in positioning does not give you results. It's important that you become results conscious, meaning that you be and stay inspired. So to scale consciousness is to let go of the stories that you hold on to. Stories are based on trauma that's unresolved and repressed. We hold on, and then what happens in the brain, This is your hippocampus. That's your short-term memory. Your amygdala is in here. That is your emotional search engine, the reticular activating system that searches for a familiar feeling. Right there is the prefrontal cortex. That's where your ability to decide is. Typically what happens, amygdala enlarges, amygdala shrinks, hippocampus, prefrontal cortex enlarges. Now you have brain fog. Brain fog is what leads to this right here. This was a best-selling book I wrote in 2012. I wrote it in 2010 and then retitled it, shopped it to an agent. I ended up being on multiple television shows, radio shows, because I became a procrastination expert. Procrastination means in Latin, to avoid. And that's unfortunately what most of our teammates do, Dave. They get at the starting line and they can't move beyond the starting line. They're in the right place at the right time. They have mentors. They have these great products. They have everything is right there in their alignment. But if you're holding on to stories, anxiety, fear, and doubt from the past, it makes it challenging to prospect, attract people, because we just recreate the same situation over and over to fulfill the same feelings. Letting go is the ability to separate your feelings from the facts and the stories, so you can not only start, but you can begin. You have to begin with the end in mind. That's where, so consciousness gives you clarity. If you're not in consciousness, then you're in the brain fog of procrastination. And unfortunately, that's where most of the world lives. That's why letting go is such a valuable skill. And if you can learn to let go, and I can teach that to you, I'll be honored to teach some of your team as we go along here. But letting go is the most valuable skill that you'll ever master. It's non-physical. It's strictly emotional. Going to the gym won't assist you. Having a great physique won't assist you. Having all the money in the bank won't assist you if you don't feel good enough, and self-esteem is what letting go is for. Because if you're not lovable, good enough, and feel capable, then you'll end up holding on to shame, guilt, resentment, and all the emotional codes that most of the world holds on to stay average.
Well, I'm just thinking also, if you're putting a team together, all of those things are essential, because to attract good people, you need to be attractive. And all of this kind of stuff, charisma basically is just this confidence and knowing where you're going, and all of this stuff you're talking about, where you don't have all of this baggage. And there's so much opportunity out there. I am so excited. We have just exactly what everybody's looking for, being able to have autonomy and being healthy. I think that's one of the great gifts, is just being healthy and being able to direct your own life. And we've got everything in place. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. And thanks for helping show us the way. So tell us more. Okay, these 18,000 people, some people succeed and some don't. You've already kind of talked about a lot of that. It really, the mechanics is pretty simple in this business, but it's all up in here and also in your heart. I love the more talent than heart. So much of success is that. So tell us more. How can we change and be?
This is my most recent book that I wrote in 2018. It's called The Breakthrough Factor. This is the book I wrote for free enterprise back in 2007, Psychologically Unemployable. Incidentally, Mark Victor Hansen told me not to title that. It would never sell. I've known Hansen for years. Interesting enough, I had the privilege of meeting, I was the rookie speaker for a company called Travel Dynamics back in 2000. They started in 1998. And I was the rookie speaker at some of their events. And I was sharing the stage as a rookie with Mark Victor Hansen, Tom Hopkins, Bob Proctor, and Omar Perry. So I was the mindset coach for that company, but I got to speak with those legends. And that's how I met Hansen. I ended up sharing the stage with Hansen over 30 times. I booked him multiple times to speak to me. He sold millions and millions of books. And he was the half owner of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Hansen talked a lot about inspiration also. And that's what I cover is inspiration is different than motivation. Inspiration it's a more relaxed energy. What many people do is they try and be motivated. They go to a seminar, or workshop, rally, and they're jacked sideways. They're excited, they're motivated, and they come home on Monday, but by Friday they're flat. It means that it's important that you have a purpose for owning your business. Now, many people confuse this and they say, I want to help people. Well, that help calibrates out in muscle testing in a very low energy. Your purpose is not to help people, it's to inspire people. But you yourself must be inspired. Reason, that's your why. If you don't have a why, then you don't really have a purpose. And you have to have that why without feeling guilty or selfish about it. If you want to live a good life, or you want to buy a home or be free of debt, then you want to be inspired about that, not procrastinate on it. And that's what so many people do, is they stay in their analytical egoic mind, getting ready to get ready. Once again, that's what procrastinating is. So many people ask me, Jeff, how do I let go? It's not how do I let go? Are you committed to it? I have 36 years of sobriety, Dave, from drugs and alcohol without ever relapsing. I have another 14 years of codependent recovery without ever relapsing, because when you are committed, then relapsing is not an option. And that's what every day we get a gift, 86,400 seconds, 1,440 minutes. And that gift is called time. Is your time valuable? And are you valuable in your own time? See the term time management? That's what many people do. The clock goes like this, but that's not what you do. You manage yourself in time, mean dedicated blocks of time. Do you have a one-day game plan that you can duplicate 90 days? A 90-day game plan is irrelevant unless you can do it one day, and very few people do that because they let time get away from themselves. And are you committed to your business? Are you committed to your best, to living your best life? Because if you're not, then you're just interested. You cannot succeed by being interested. There's a commitment level where you go from treating your business like a hobby to the 6 or 7 figure business that you're capable of creating. So in where your team is right now, it's not really a startup company, because the owners have a tremendous amount of experience and background, product development. I watched some of your videos yesterday, some of the company's videos, especially from the Dallas convention. This is timing, but this isn't something you wait till after the holidays to capitalize on. I mean, now is now. It's now o'clock. It's not next year. It's not when it's perfect. And it means that if you're uncomfortable at the thought of or the feeling of, that's what you learn to address. You observe that uncomfortableness. You breathe into that feeling. That's what letting go is. You take a long abdomen breath. You bring it up through here. You breathe it up. You release and let it go. And that's what lets go of the neurons that wire and fire, that forms a feeling that creates procrastination and avoidance. The story you tell yourself about prospecting will either empower you or will inhibit you. And most people are attached to rejection. They're not inspired to go out and meet new people or communicate with people or connect with people. And most importantly, when you're prospecting, you're qualifying people for this, your product. You're qualifying people who deserve this product, not the people who need it. Because if you do this, if you talk to people who need it, then these people don't buy it because you talk too much. It's your responsibility to learn how to qualify people for your time. That's what you were listening to multiple years ago, the psychology of asking, because asking is a skill. If you're not skilled at asking, then you end up talking to non-qualified buyers. And then you've seen this a million times, Dave. Then people get disappointed. And then they say, well, I got ghosted. I got gaslighted. I got rejected. I got abandoned. Actually, what happened is you were talking to a non-qualified buyer who told you what you wanted to hear. Then you got disappointed when they didn't buy because you haven't crossed that bridge of letting go of the anxiety, fear, and doubt. So that's where the breakthrough factor is, right here. If the breakthrough factor is when you master the emotions of letting go, so you don't end up like this, angry at your prospects, angry at yourself, resentful that someone else is rank advancing and you're not. So no one's giving you the love. No one's giving you the recognition. If you want recognition in a network marketing business, you have to recognize, number one, that you're at the right place at the right time. You have to recognize that you have the ability to transcend and break through. Recognition comes from performance and production. It doesn't come from being a good person. You can be a great person all day long and not rank advance. It comes down to, can you create the results at the right place at the right time?
This is amazing stuff. I think identify what you need to do and do it every day, and just be productive and turn it into habits. And could you talk a little bit about, I believe success is a habit, so is failure. Just this magic of compounding, doing certain things a certain way and getting really good at it and identifying that's what makes you move forward. And how do you make habits, and what's the value of all of those type of things?
Okay, that's a great question. So the habits are a two-part component. First of all, habits are a word that's very, very misunderstood, that I'm going to be developing content and context on this one subject in the next 10 years of my career. I'm going to be 67 in January. Now, Jim Rohn spoke until he was 82. I plan on doing that as well. So the next 10 years of my life, I'm going to devote to assisting people to understand this one word. It's called focus. So you asked me, how do you develop habits? Well, there's two components. Number one is focus. And focus comes from relaxed, inspired energy where you complete tasks that you commit to. But you can't finish if you're not committed. So focus is a whole seminar. And then the second part of that question is, how do I change a habit? You have to be able to observe the bad habits, not participate. That means you're able to look at them objectively. You look at your character defects, and then you change the repetition and experience. Now, when the body goes like this, that's called fight or flight. That's what develops a bad habit. And in a bad habit, in fight or flight, the brain secretes a neurochemical, adrenaline and cortisol, that we become addicted to. So to change a habit, it's important that you understand the skill set of changing fight or flight. So that a bad habit is you put the laundry in the washing machine and you forget it. Then you put it in the dryer and you forget it. Then you put it in the basket and you don't fold it. Then you move it to the room and you don't do anything with it. You don't make your bed in the morning because you're going to sleep in it tonight. So the story about what's the purpose of making the bed? Well, the purpose of making a bed, it's the first thing you do in the morning. The second thing you should do is, theoretically, is some devotional time, prayer, meditation, exercise. If you can do those three things in the morning, then you start your day. See, what many people do is then they wing it. They're going to make their bed when they get around to it. They'll do their laundry when they get around to it. So what most people do is they rebel against their own success. And you would have to address that. You may have been rebelling against the machine or rebelling against your parents, but if you're going to be successful, you have to address that rebellious context that you live in to let go. Changing a habit comes, to answer your question, it requires a relaxed focus and then a improved repetition and experience, meaning over and over and over. It's like hitting a curveball. A curveball is not a curveball has a different speed than a fastball. And you require the repetition batting practice. You require the repetition and experience over and over. So just if you made your bed today and you haven't made it for 30 years, that would be breaking a behavior. That would be changing your behavior. If you do it 2 days in a row, now you have 48 hours in it. If you do it 7 days in a row, that's 1/4 of 30 days. If you do it 30 days, now you have 30 days of recovery under your belt. But it starts with that one day. And it means that you have to and here's what many people do. It starts with a W. They wing it. You can't wing it to success. It doesn't happen. You require a system, a routine, and methods that are simple. And that's why network marketing, like really good companies and really good leaders, they develop simple systems that are duplicatable, not complex systems, not overwhelming systems, but it has to be a routine and a simple system that you can recruit someone in a relatively short period of time, and they can see the value of and the benefits and the features. So that's just the basics of how you change a behavior.
Oh, this is really good stuff. I love this idea of focus as an acronym. Follow one course until success. I think focus, clarity, that's such a big, big thing. And I also think about making the bed. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That's generally correct. And so just working on little habits can help you with the big habits. And the word discipline, a lot of times we think, oh, that means I got to, make my kids do what's right. And we should, but that's a good thing. Can you talk a little bit about discipline? Because that fits right.
Yes, and then I'll cover discipline, then I got to run. So discipline also it's a duality word. It means more than one meaning. I'm going to discipline you, or I am disciplined. So discipline means disciple. It means a disciple is a repetition and experience. And most people aren't emotionally disciplined enough to be successful. So you want to focus on being and staying disciplined in a relaxed body. But if your left brain, your analytical mind, looks at discipline as painful, then you'll avoid it. If you can look at discipline as an asset, then you can engage it. So your perception of that whole word changes the neurochemical response between the brain, the body, and the gut. And so discipline is an asset. It's not a negative situation. Dave, I got to run. If anyone wants to contact me, They can
Oh,
reach
yeah.
out to me.
We could listen to you all day long, and thank you for your time. I understand that you could actually do some coaching complimentary, maybe 20 minutes or something like
Yes, I
that.
do that. So, like for instance, today, Dave, I'm disciplined. I have 12 hours of coaching today. That's a routine Saturday for me. 100, as I said, 180 hours, 180,000 hours of coaching. Well, you can add 12 more hours to that today and 12 more tomorrow. That's 24 more. But so, if you're listening to my content and you feel inspired or compelled, and you do want to speak to me, I offer a 20 to 30-minute free coaching session. If you're open to coaching, it's complimentary. There's no obligation. But if you're serious and want to next level it, reach out to me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Jeffery Combs. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. I post frequently on all sites. You can message me in Facebook Messenger. My website is goldenmastermindseminars.com or goldenmastermind.com, goldenmastermind.com. And it says right up there, free 20-minute coaching session, or just message me in Facebook Messenger with your phone number, and I'll respond to you within 24 hours.
Thank you so much. I think successful people are coachable. So that's a good thing. So, hey, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
One other thing, Dave, they can send me a friend request too, and let them know that you sent me. Just send me a friend request. I'll accept all friends from anyone. You can follow my content. I do Facebook Lives every single day. I've been recording Facebook Lives since the day that they were at the inception. So I have a lot of content for your team can access for free.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Dave, I'm honored to be your coach and friend long term. I look forward to this next couple of years with you and look forward to connecting with you in December.
Big things are going to happen. Take care.
Bye, Dave.